out, like just leave, or should I just do something like just log out period, or go like I can go like that?
What's that? I don't know what you. What's that?
That works. You can. That's actually true. You don't have to be on.
I just started. I stopped the video here.
Yeah, then you can you can listen in. You can say terrible things about us behind our back, and we won't know.
Well, I think it'll show up on while we're doing the intro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It might be.
So I think you have to. Yeah.
I have to.
Otherwise, it's going to be just the pictures of the two of you, and we'll be talking about.
So I should log out and just come back in.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys log out, come back in, and you'll be sitting in the waiting room until we bring you in, and
we should come back in at 7:30, and we'll be sitting in the waiting room.
Correct.
Right, 7:30.
This show is going to be so much fun. I wish we could just do it for hours.
Okay.
Two legendary. This is such an honor.
What are you talking about? No,
thank you.
Hey, we got Norwood in the middle. See, we rolling. Yeah. Hey.
It's different on everybody's screen. All right, we'll see you guys in a few minutes. You guys sound great.
So how do I log out?
You say leave. It's going. Bottom says leave.
You need the professional model.
I'm just leaving. I'll see y'all later.
California. You can check in.
I see the word leave.
All right.
This is gonna be awesome.
Brutal. The Zoom. Leave.
Oh, man. This is gonna be great.
Get out of here.
Leave.
All right.
So I just saw your email, Scott. You dig that song, the groovy?
I like the groove. I thought the thing where I felt good. It felt like it was upbeat. It was kind of fun. I mean, I liked it.
It's just like a pulsy train coming down the track.
Right.
And
it'd be something too. We could do something like that too eventually, right?
Yeah, we can do anything we want.
And then we can
I like what you sent me, Norwood, but it was just like a bunch of great drum beats. So I don't know, man. I'm down to imitate those beats and start with.
You don't have to imitate.
Well, you know what I mean? Like
I don't take my beat making seriously.
No, but I use that as the launching point. That's the seed that I grow into. They were cool, interesting stuff. So I'm not opposed to that. But then we got to start from scratch, which I love as well. I don't care.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well, Kenny will be in town. Saturday. We got options.
Yep. I'll be there Saturday, so we got all week long to come up with whatever.
Great.
Right. All right. Well, I like that. Yeah. I thought that was a good groove. I thought that would be really fun for the opening.
Something like that, yeah. So, Sheila, her name is Jamie Roberts. You were off the line, but so she represents Tommy Lee, Parker, a guy named Clown from.
Are we on right now? We're on, right?
We're not live.
We're on the pre-show.
That's what we always say.
Not yet.
And every time I watch it.
No, we are on the pre-show.
We're going to be.
We're not. But we can.
Hey, you guys.
Wait, I'm sorry, I know Jamie. I mean, I don't know her well, but I know of her.
We're live, Mark.
So she's going to call me, or I should call her?
Yeah, I'll set it all up.
Okay.
I just got a text saying that we are live on YouTube.
I had a feeling.
I know.
We are live on YouTube.
We say this every time.
So since we're live, and Kenny, you need to shout out to Rhonda Smith. She hasn't gotten back to us.
If she's watching.
Yeah, hey Trinity, thanks for the text. Thanks for the heads up.
I'll give her a call.
So hey, Kenny, do you see the three little dots in your screen? If you touch
I got screen, 4 of them.
Okay, so click on that at the very bottom. Do you see where it says rename?
Wait, 3 little dots. What do you mean? I got 4 dots.
Okay, 4 dots. If you click, if you click on those 4 dots, I don't see very well. It looks like 3 to me. But if you click on that, it brings up a menu, and it brings up. You see that the bottom it says rename.
Rename. No, it says more. Let's see.
There should be an option that says rename. And you can just type Kenny Olson.
Hi, YouTube.
And that's OLSON.
So I don't know if I'm hitting.
As most people get that wrong. Surprising.
I don't know. Start, mute, share content. It's not giving me the option.
Next to mute, it should say stop video chat, pin, spotlight for everyone, make host, and then rename somewhere in there. No?
No.
Oh, well. So everybody surviving the warm weather today?
It's fine for me.
It's really warm here.
When you came out, I was outside enjoying the sunshine on the first half of our conversation with Dave and Scott today.
Oh, nice.
I brought it into the dark. Hey, I was just wondering, do you want to write a set list for this great jam we're going to be doing next week together? Or
you guys already wrote it.
Well, we wrote all the songs. I mean, in order.
The order.
Oh, gotcha.
Or should we just kind of like, hey, look at all, they'll be on the ground, just call them out?
I think we'll have them, and once we get there, we'll go. We can just say which feels good.
Yeah,
We'll
like the old.
We'll feel the room.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be cool because every time we play a song, it'll be the first time we've played it in a year and a half. It'll be very
seriously.
fun.
No kidding.
We can all walk around like those old blues legends and be like, there is no set list.
Hey, you know what? We need to. I wonder if David, can you videotape some of it on your phone? We should have some of this on tape.
The show?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was going to actually talk to Nicole.
Oh, okay.
And Courtney, because Graham would come and film the whole thing.
Oh my God, that would be fantastic.
If they're okay with it. So I'm going to try and get that approved.
All right, good.
Excellent.
And
then I'll have
any straight blues for that time on stage will be BB Think. I'm down, dude.
Right.
No, ZZ Think. ZZ Think.
And then I have I'll have some updates for you guys that I'll send out tomorrow. Okay.
Excellent.
But Norwood and Kenny, I think you still need to respond to my email.
I'll do it right after the show.
I sent you a W-9 form.
You did?
Yeah, they emailed it to you the day 20 minutes after I talked to you.
I like the name ZZ Think.
Yeah.
ZZ Think is cool.
That's for when you do the whole ZZ Top songs.
Yeah, we did Pink Floyd. Now we're ZZ Think.
Hey, wait, the YouTube is going. This is the first I'm on the YouTube and it's like Saban Marketing and Promotions. Who is that? Saban Marketing and Promotion is paying attention. It's always my good friend Funkin.
All right. Well, Funkin, we all know.
Yes. He said, "What's up, Scott?
What's up, Funkin?"
He said, "What's up to everybody, Scott?"
Right.
Sheila Perkins, Kenny.
Who is it?
Mossman.
Say that again.
Funkin.
Also, the energies are trying to align us to take us to Cairo.
Right. Yeah.
Some various cosmic people wanting us to come to Cairo.
You got to think like an Egyptian, man.
That's right. Here we go.
Let's just throw it out there.
Guys, we're 3 minutes. We're 3 minutes and counting.
Okay. Well, good luck, everybody. A little lemon water for the trip. Everybody there in YouTube land, there you go.
Lemon water, that looks good.
I'm drinking coffee.
That's friend Ken.
Scott, you got a lemon tree at your house in the backyard?
I do. The front yard, actually.
Squeeze that
It all
lemon.
depends how you're looking at it.
I want a lemon tree and an avocado tree in my backyard.
Yeah, that's California living.
Yeah, and then I'll have a little garden and make my own,
Just squeeze the lemon in the avocado and add some onions and some tomatoes, and you got some guacamole.
Sounds like
some chips, and you're good to go.
That's right.
Norwood, that cilantro does wonders too.
Oh yeah, my favorite.
Yeah. I love cilantro.
It's got some wonderful God-given
2 minutes,
to
you
it,
guys. 2 minutes. We'll probably go live in 1 minute, right, Mark?
Whatever you like.
Okay, everybody tense up. All right.
Oh no.
I don't
This is
know
gonna
where I
be a good
put my
show.
tent. I
It's
lost
going to be a
my
fun
tent.
one, man. They've been fun these last
How you
bunch,
feeling,
man.
Sheila?
Oh, I'm just hanging on by a thread.
Yeah.
Like they say in the South, are you hanging in there like a hair on a biscuit?
Oh, no, not even. I am just, yeah.
Kenny, you're a little dark, and Sheila, you are too a little bit.
Am I too dark? Okay.
Hold on.
Where's Kenny?
Is that better?
Talking about the
So you guys, Mark, why don't you go ahead and push us live? It's 1 minute away.
Yep.
Tell me when we're live on everything. And
do our share.
Is that better, David?
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, that looks better.
How about me?
You've got like a big, I mean, at this point, it's fine, Kenny. You look, yeah.
You are live.
All right. We are
He has a
live.
halo.
We
Pinch
are
me, I'm
30
live.
seconds from officially kicking off the Rock and Talk Show. If you're tuned in now, start a watch party, spread the word, tell your friends that we are, yeah, you right tonight.
Oh, I'm just hanging out by
Oh, there it is. Is that YouTube or Facebook, Scott? I'm not seeing it on Facebook yet.
Let the engines at the start and the beginning start with the engine. Let's go.
Start your engines.
Have we started? I think so. We're
Oh,
on.
there we go. Yep,
We're
we
on.
are.
Okay.
Oops.
We are. So you guys, guess what time it is? It is that time to start the show. So here we go. We'll have quiet on the set. And here we go. Mark, I'm going to say goodbye to you.
Oh,
I mean, at this point, it's all right. Here we go, everybody.
Yeehaw.
And welcome to the Rock and Talk Show number 28, season 2, episode 2. This is the bi-weekly show that dives deep into the entertainment industry, the business of it, the stories and culture around it, and everything in between. The Rock and Talk Show Beyond Backstage. How's everybody doing? I'm the Moss Man.
It's great.
Good.
It's a warm one here in Los
quickly.
Angeles.
Real quickly, let me introduce the crew here. We got the one and only Stephen Perkins over here, Jane's Addiction. We've got Scott Page, Pink Floyd, Norwood Fisher, Fishbone, Sheila Conlin, the Conlin Company, and of course, Kenny Olson, Twisted Brown Trucker Band. There you go. So, wow, it's
Crazy
hot
day
today,
right? Crazy. It's really hot. Los Angeles, like summertime. It's crazy.
Yes. You know,
Perkins
we have a
almost
great
did the show in the
tonight,
nude
guys.
today. I saw him. I had to make him put a shirt on.
I mean, I'm
We have
feeling
a
like
great-
a lizard. I feel like a lizard a little bit. I like that. Sit on a wall and just kind of absorb the sun and then get back to work.
Get a little
Yes.
vitamin D. Good.
Who's excited about our show tonight? I mean,
yeah,
come
it's
on.
gonna be
We've
great.
got, we've
Ooh,
got
that might
two
be-
legends on the
That
show
might be
tonight.
David Moss who's super excited about our show. Look at that.
Look at him. He looks very happy.
Representing.
You know,
Yeah, it's
normally,
Yeah, it's a
normally,
Tipatina
this-
shirt. Mind you know the history of Tipatina is, first of all, you know where it at, you know how it is, what happens there for years and years, late night, after hours parties.
I have raised balls to the walls in Tipitinas in ways that we won't talk about right now.
I have too. And actually, we would all be in New Orleans right now. This is the days between the two weekends. We'd probably be at Tipitina's tonight, you know, if it weren't for our lovely friend COVID.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I wound up at.
soon.
I remember first time I was played in New Orleans. This is even before the Kid Rock era, you know, because we played down there all the time then. But I remember I was like 20 years old. I went to New Orleans and Jimmy had, you know, Muddy Waters club, and Jimmy, you know, it was Jimmy's club, whatever. And all, you know, like Ivan and George used to play there, and then he took me over to Tipitina's because I did a jam thing there. He's like, let me take you somewhere where you can really feel the shit. and those guys were doing a jam up there. Like, oh, I got to see a night where all these Ivan, George, everybody was like around that whole scene, and it was 20 years old, just like going, hell yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing like New Orleans, and that is.
But you know what? There's so much voodoo there. If you say Ivan and George one more time, they disappear.
Yeah.
I know that the last time I was there was with Miss Diller, Phyllis Diller, in Baton Rouge, and then a wild night in New Orleans.
Wow,
Crazy.
that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's always fun to take somebody that's never been
Orleans,
there.
of course.
Have a couple of these hurricanes. They're light. Just suck those suckers down. And like 15 minutes later,
Pat O'Brien's right there on Bourbon
We were there with
Street.
Toto, and it was Jeff Piccaro's wife who had never drank hurricanes before, and we were having to carry her out of that place because it's like soda pop.
huh?
Like you're drinking these things, you don't realize what's about to happen. Oh my God!
I remember we had a gig at House of Blues, and they had to shut all of Decatur Street down. It was, Kid Rock show, and Monster Magnet, and we this girl that we allowed to come backstage got a little upset because she thought she was going to get on stage and sing, and decided to throw a tantrum and hit the bouncers and everything, and then they kicked her out, and she proceeded to kick a cop in the nuts and punch another cop, and they shut the whole street down.
Which nuts, by the way? Just curious.
I know.
Wait, which nuts?
Come on.
These.
These.
Norwood, I needed you there.
Shout out to our guests last week.
Yeah. Let me give a shout out. Yeah, we had last week's show was a blast, right? We had Matt Penfield and Gary Spivak on, and they were incredible. Talk about knowing about rock history and stuff. They're great. And so if you get a chance, definitely check out Matt's show on Amazon called Paradise City. And you can also hear him on KLOS. So check out Matt, great authority on rock and roll. And then Gary, check out his Long Live Rock documentary. It's incredible, right? It's just it's really great. So if you're a rock lover, definitely check those out.
Great. That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
That was a fun one. Yep. Tonight, though.
Tonight.
Here we go.
Norwood. Let's do it. I mean, our guests are in the waiting room. They're ready to join us. Norwood, why don't you introduce our first guest?
Well, right now we're about to bring up, like, I'm so excited about today because this is the deepest. Well, you know what? We've
pretty deep.
We've been deep before, but this is a combination spike punch today. And Dumpster Funk has some new music out right now. Like, and I've heard a good portion of it. Just, it's amazing. And just to bring Ivan Neville in right now, like the guy that just I remember that, like, seeing Ivan at the Mint. I don't remember who you were playing with, and I just remember just thinking, like, wait, he's a badass from way back, and does he just keep getting better? And George Porter Jr. in the house is like foundation, be like it, like, as a bassist and just a musician, period. Just the influence of the meters on every part of popular music and culture. It seeps into rock, of course, funk, hip hop, pop music, and beyond. It goes to Africa, it goes everywhere.
Yep.
So drum roll, please.
Please welcome to the Rock and Talk Show, the one and only Ivan Neville and George Porter Jr.
Yay.
Thank you guys for joining us.
So happy to have you guys.
It's great to be here. Thank
Thanks
you
for the invite, y'all.
I mean, Norwood couldn't have said it better.
Oh, I know.
And I mean, you guys have just influenced so many people and so much music for so long. I mean, the foundation of funk, really, like even though that name's sort of been taken, but you guys are the foundation of funk. And I mean, you know, thank you for joining us. Ivan, I have a question. I'm going to start with you because you come from a family that is just unbelievable. Like, there is so much talent in your family. I want to know what your grandparents were feeding your parents.
You know, I tell you what, Mrs. Amelia Landry Neville, I know she had, there was two things that I specifically remember the taste. She made grits unlike no other. And she also made smothered chicken, or smothered pork chop with that brown gravy, George. You know what I'm talking about? Over rice.
Oh, yeah.
It had a certain taste to that. No one made it quite like her. So I know that's some stuff that comes to mind.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
All right. We're gonna have to run to the store quick.
Do recipes get passed down, and do they kind of disappear as the modern age comes? Sometimes it's hard to keep those old recipes alive, right?
It's still alive, believe me.
Cool.
Yeah, I
try to hook them up in my kitchen. I try to hook it up like that.
That's cool.
I just got a serious case of the munchies now.
Ivan, what's your signature dish in the kitchen?
My signature dish? I fancy myself on making a decent breakfast. I can make a decent breakfast, but I can make gumbo pretty good.
Ooh, my favorite.
I can make gumbo.
Oh, my favorite.
With both of those, it can happen any time of the day. Breakfast.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So
what about you, George? What you whip up in the kitchen?
I recently bought myself a Ninja Foodie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
So that thing allows me to cook anything I want. You know? So I haven't found something that I'm stuck with, because I mean I throw everything in that thing. And it has all these different settings. It roasts, it air fries, it bakes, you know. So I've been baking, I've been air frying. Now it says I could bake a cake in that thing. I haven't done that yet, but you know, I never figured I had anything to do with baking a cake. And the best thing I could bake is probably, you know, what those things, cinnamon rolls.
Yeah.
But you know,
yeah,
and I'm a big fan of making breakfast too. I love making breakfast, you know, and you know, I've learned how to flip my egg.
Now, do you use a spatula, or do you just flip it?
No, without the spatula. I just slide it to the top of the bowl.
Oh yeah.
And a little wrist action, and that sucker flips right over.
Like a skateboarder hitting a ramp and just shooting it over.
Yeah, chef some stars.
Great name for a record or a song. Flip my egg.
All right.
Flip my eggs.
Yeah, flip my egg, man. Come on. It's about time.
I mean, talking about food, I mean, I've been all over the world. We've all been all over the world. But what is it about New Orleans? Something about what, I don't know what it is, but when you eat that food, it does something to you. There's like no food anywhere else in the world. What is it? It's just amazing.
So spicy, right?
It makes you fat. I'm up to like 240 pounds, man. And this COVID, what my daughter says COVID fat, you know, but man, all I've been doing is eating and sleeping.
Terrible.
I mean, I recorded a record, so yeah, that took up some of my daylight hours. But you know, I've been. I mean, on nights that that I'm not working or doing anything, and like at this point, I'm done up here in the studio. I'm not, working on the next project just yet. So I mean, if I wasn't talking to you guys, I'll be laying across the foot of the bed.
I'll tell you, you know,
with a plate where you had a snack, right?
Had a snack. There's some little cheese sticks, you know.
Well, see, you know what? Check this out. So a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, because I had COVID in March of last year. So I had the COVID diet. So I lost about 20, 25 pounds.
Wow.
I was dealing with that. But
did you lose your taste buds?
I did not lose. I did not recall that. I don't know that I did, but I couldn't eat for like 2 weeks. 2 weeks I couldn't eat a thing. But when I was able to eat again, I ate a lot. So I pretty much quickly gained the weight back. So now I've been trying, I put a little bit off, and I've been doing this thing where I try not to, I don't eat in between like 7 o'clock at night, and I don't eat until tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
so you're doing like the intermittent fasting, right?
Yes, I've been eating like within an 8 or so. Well, I'm trying, so I've been doing like maybe a 9-hour period. Like I might start at 9 o'clock, and then I've been cheating a little bit the last couple of days, but I try not to eat after 5 or 6. I don't eat anything. So really I'm drinking water. So instead of having popcorn and cookies, which I did have a cookie earlier after my little dinner that I had a little while ago, but that's it. I don't have nothing else but water.
But ice cream isn't part of that.
How do you feel?
I want ice cream. Huh?
How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel good because when I'm taking my little walk, I do a walk every morning.
Yeah.
A 2-mile walk. And I've been feeling good because when I look, I got a scale now. My lady bought a scale, which I don't know whether that was a bad thing or a good thing, but it's good because I weigh myself like first thing in the morning, and then I weigh after my walk, and then I weigh after I eat to see where I'm at. So I'm down about 2 pounds right now than what I was most recently. Where I want to get down to like 185 or something like that.
I feel like when you have a scale in your house, it's either a pat on the back or a guilt trip. It's one or the other.
Both.
Or a message from your girl if she went out to the store and bought a scale. And brought it
no. Yeah, she like checking it out. Well, yeah, we checking it out. The funny thing is, I was at the doctor's a couple of weeks ago, and I was just having a checkup, just an annual little. I hadn't had a checkup for quite a while, and when I was stepping on the scale, I'm like, well, let me take my shoes off. I'm taking the belt off.
Gotta take your wallet out.
Phone down. Yeah. I'm like, that's got at least 5 or so pounds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I want
to. You work that hard, you want it. Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
Were you so just real quick back to your COVID? We don't want to talk about it too long, but were you pretty sick or I
was pretty sick. Yeah, I had my oxygen levels were low in the low 80s averaging, and somebody hooked me up with an oxygen machine.
Wow.
So I had that at my house. So that enabled me to not have to be checked into a hospital.
Wow.
Which would have been bad.
Right.
So I was able to lay in the back room of my house with the with the door open where I got air circulating in there and stuff like that. And as soon as I was able to, I started doing breathing exercises because I had pneumonia in both lungs.
Oh, God.
Oh my
God. There was no doctor that could tell you exactly what to do about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Except and that was don't lay on your back and try to lay on your side because that pneumonia just sits in there in your lungs and just kind of gets comfortable. And that's what I believe happens to a lot of people, especially older people. And with the underlying conditions, they lay in a hospital bed and that shit just sits in there and makes itself comfortable. And then that's it.
Yeah.
So I was able to fight that. And bam, luckily I'm in decent shape.
Yeah, thank God, because we need you here.
I want to be here. I ain't trying to go nowhere. Yeah.
You had pretty much got past it when I heard about it.
Yeah.
But my heart just stopped. I was just like, not Ivan.
Yeah, no, dude. I was scared, dude. And then I would watch TV. I was scared to watch the news because then I'd see that stuff, and that would make me paranoid and freaking out. Anxiety. And then I started thinking like morbid kind of stuff, like I don't want to be dying and all this. No, I was thinking like, damn, if I die, they can't even have a proper funeral for me. They can't have a second
that's
line,
like-
none of that stuff. I'm like, no, I ain't going yet. You know, George,
I've-
you know what I'm saying?
Plus,
They can't do nothing. They can't even have a thing, a party for, you know?
The party
this
is
year
over.
was a this year was a doozy with
no,
so many
indeed.
people that we lost, and I mean, I just couldn't believe it. But one of the things too, even going into the COVID thing, George, I was, you know, it was like when they started shutting everything down, I get a call from Pete Shapiro in Krasno, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to do Ain't No Use with George Porter for the opening of the Brooklyn Bowl?" And I was like, on my way to come be with you to play that show, and then they canceled that grand opening, and I was like, and then they, you know, it was like because I was looking so forward to that. Then when they called me up and when they said Ain't No Use, I was like, guitar on that. Oh yeah, I'm in. I was so excited, and I hope that we get a chance to do that.
I heard it was rescheduling. Yes.
Yeah. So Pete he'll have me, you know, the Soul Live guys and all of us. So I can't wait for that day to come, because that was when that got canceled, and then, you know, that, and then the guys, me and Norwood and Steve and Scott, we were coming to New Orleans to play Jazz Fest, and that before we were to go to Europe, and that got all canceled. And I was just like, you know, it's, you know, sad. It was, so much.
We'll be back.
changes.
We'll be back. We're gonna go back.
Yeah.
It's interesting for me. I've been such a fan of both you guys for years. You know, I got introduced to all this New Orleans stuff through Eddie Zip. You guys probably remember.
Eddie Zip.
And Freddie Staley and
Eddie Zip,
my
Freddie
guru,
Staley.
my hero who taught me the saxophone, who started me on the saxophone, Jerry Jumonville. Rome was my guy. That's where I learned to play the saxophone.
Wow.
You know, he hit me to you guys so much, the meters and you Ivan and stuff for so many years. And then I got to play with you, George, at the Dome show we did in Los Angeles. I don't know if you remember, we played. I got to do Infrared and Roses with you guys, and that was my
that was fun. That was killing.
That was really fun, man. So we've been all doing Dome shows for this whole last year, but that was definitely a special one. I never played anything like that. So
are you talking about that place that's down like in the weird spot in LA with the
where Dome
it looks very cool, but it sounds like crap.
Yeah,
it sounds bad. It sounds bad in
that.
there. It's like three bands playing at the same time.
Yeah, well, we figured out the trick.
Is that
the
us?
whole thing is you got to pump mono. You got to pump mono through.
All right.
Because when you try to do stereo, it gets really
surround sound.
Sound like about three bands playing at the same time.
Yeah,
minus the sound.
But it's a cool spot. It's a very cool spot.
Well, we did that when we went to Japan, Ivan. When we went to Japan with it was you, Tony, and Ian, and then the Porter trio, Mike and Terrence and myself.
Right, I remember that. Yeah,
we played two nights in there before we went to Japan,
we
or
stopped
one night.
over in there.
Yeah. But I was when I came back to do the infrared show. I was coming back from Japan with Steve Kimmock.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Steve played that show too, wasn't Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on that show we did. Yeah, he was. That was the Dead in the Dome thing. That was fun.
Yeah.
That's some cool looking stuff they got going on the in the ceiling and whatnot.
Crazy venue. I mean, the whole vibe of that park is pretty cool. But George, let's talk about both of you guys have new records out, and George, we've been talking about yours a little bit. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, because we got your song lined up and a little clip from, I understand that it's not even out yet, according to John Phillips, that we're going to show a little debut of it right here on the Rock and Talk show. But you want to talk about it?
Yeah, well, the Crying for Hope project, kind of came about with, with the fact that I had done most of these tracks, with my previous guitar player, Brent Anderson, who left the band in 2017. 1970.
Wow.
Damn.
The ghost of Christmas past. Whoa.
In 2017, and I just, I kind of just shelved the project because most of the work, and it was kind of leaning on the guitar player, being like the front instrument in that session. And when he left the band, I just kind of shelved the project and started working with the trio which is the remaining two guys of running partners, was just Mike Lemler, the keyboardist, and Terrence Houston, the drummer. And when COVID came along, I bought a new computer. That thing that's one behind me now is the new one, the new kid on the block. And so I was transferring all my files from the old computer over to this new guy, and I bumped into the running partners folder. And so I kind of opened it up, and all of the tracks was already in iTunes. So I just started listening to these tracks. I said, "Oh wow, something, man, this stuff sounds kind of good, But and then I said, well, I should replace the guitar parts with the new kid on the block, who is Chris Atkins in the band. And I called Michael Lemler, who is like the tech guy. He knows about it. And I told him, I said, Mike, we both got, we upgraded our Pro Tools about 4 years ago. And when the cloud thing first came into play, and we upgraded to, I think, to 10, I believe, and that allowed you to use that cloud system. But we never used it, because it was much easier for everybody just to come to the house and sit down and play, So I told him, I said, Mike, we all stuck at home now. Let's figure out how to use this cloud thing, And he said, okay, give me a day, So he took one day off and played around with it. Next day, he called me up and said, okay, let's start uploading the tracks to the cloud. And I did that, and I uploaded like 6 songs. And, we had 19 tracks recorded. So I uploaded 6. And Mike started working, cleaning up his keyboard parts. And we invited Chris over, and, Chris started adding new guitar parts. And while that was going on, I used every morning at 6:45, my dog, my little Miss Vicky, she wakes me up. I got to go out, and then you need to feed me also, So I'll get up. I get up in the morning, and I'll bring her out and feed her, and let her go out. And while she's out, I would sit on the sofa in the living room, and I would, just play my bass. And every morning I was playing my bass in the living room, and so I started turning my cell phone on, and and that voicemail thing.
Yeah.
Well, what is voice? Yeah,
voice memo.
Voice memo, right.
Record,
And I just started recording, these bass lines, and it seemed like every morning there was a different one, And and so later that day I would bring it upstairs to the studio, and then upload it to Mike, and and Mike said, "Oh, I like this. That's how I like it." And they fooled with that. So 7 more tracks got done that away with me downstairs, And so with the old 6 tracks and 7 new ones, we said, hey, it got to be a record, And then I got, my lyric writing is kind of horrifying. There's a lot of stuff like that. So, I got Miss Mia Borders and Susan Calso and my girlfriend, Denise Sullivan, who always says that she turns Porter words into English. And,
That's
so,
awesome.
we wrote some lyrics for most of the songs, but we kind of, it was started out to be an instrumental track, but some of those tracks like kind of say, hey man, I need some words on me, bro. Put some words on me, and that's what we did, and for me, I think this is the best record I've done to date. This is my best project.
Wow.
Why don't we debut and show a little clip of Crying for Hope right here on the Rock and Talk Show?
Yay.
Yeah, awesome.
Oh, wow.
A day when I can walk and say, I'm feeling so comfortable living in the USA. I'm crying for hope. My baby ain't no joke.
There it is.
Wow.
Sample.
That was
wow.
When's it gonna be out?
Oh man, that was
when will
awesome.
people be able to see the whole thing and get the whole record?
I think the as I was actually today the pre-orders I signed 150 pre-order vinyl records today. So I believe that it's, you know, I'm not sure how the system works, but I think it's ready.
You need to NFT that album, buddy. You need to put those NFTs. I saw you got an NFT.
Not even using the word loosely. That is a timeless masterpiece right there. I mean, like that was brilliant. Just that was.
And
awesome.
that NFT thing, man, that's some freaky stuff.
Yeah, I saw you. I was checking out. I was looking, and I saw that you had one. And I saw one piece there. It was like going for like 6 Ethereum. That's pretty serious. I mean, that's like what, $2,700 in Ethereum. So add it up, it's a $10,000 little album thing you had there. That's pretty good.
That groove was awesome. That groove was sick. That was man. That was.
And you should definitely think about NFTing the whole record. You should really think about that. Definitely. I don't know if you saw what went on with the Kings of Leon, where they put out 20,000 albums. They did $2 million, and like I think the auction was 7 minutes.
Wow.
And it's out there now. The royalty streams are built into it, so you never have to touch it. You get paid 10% every time it's resold. I mean, because that's the whole trading market. It's really changing the whole landscape for artists. Everybody should really think about everything they do. It's new publishing. It's the new publishing.
Guys, here's a crazy crypto story. I took Shalita's class yesterday, a second one.
Okay.
And I got all excited about learning how to trade crypto now, like buy day trading. So I moved my crypto from my wallet back to one of my cryptos from my wallet back to the exchange. And I didn't include a memo, and $2,500 gone, vanished in thin air.
Oh, yeah. You should be able to get,
Shalita was on with me till midnight, and she
got it
helped
back.
me figure it out. It's not back yet, but it's gonna come back. So
wow.
You gotta be careful with that stuff.
That's way all of that's way over my head. But
clearly it's over mine.
Johnny Ray and John is kind of like plugged into that, you know, and so, you know, I think there's both Ivan and myself, you know, we got good people in our back corner, you know, that's you know, because John Phillips really, he cares about us, you know, and he looks out for us.
John rules. Yeah. We should all do a toast to John.
You're right. You're right.
Love John.
Toast to John.
John Phillips, and let's shout out Johnny Ray as well, and let's also shout out Amy, because Amy's been, you know, Amy's part of that team, and
great. So actually, Johnny Ray said George has an NFT, and then Michelle Beebs wanted to comment on the Jammin' tie-dye shirt, George.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just reading some of our fans and listeners. Perkins, what about that metal album we were discussing with Dumpsta when they were between drummers plus Perk on drums, GP on bass?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Great. All right, Steven. All right.
I can be a very musical, sensitive metal drummer with the muscle, the endurance. Let's go. Let's get
You played with Dumpster once. You played Dumpster with at least one time. You played with Dumpster.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. I don't remember what song we played. It was something killing.
And also up in San Francisco with Phil Lesh on bass.
Yes. Up in the Terrapins Crossroads over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we were doing that. Yeah.
I had a question for you, Ivan. You mentioned the second line in the funeral. And as a young drummer from California, I always thought that was fascinating. The celebration of life with rhythm, with a certain rhythm. Is it African and Cajun? If you played on a djembe, does it feel like you're back with, you know, Babatunde Olatunji, one of my favorite African drummers? How does the second line? Is that everything? Is it all there?
I think it's everything. I think it's a mixture of some African rhythm, some Caribbean stuff, and whatever New Orleans did to it. It's a mixture. I mean, right, George? It's a combination of all that stuff. You got the I forget.
I mean, Zigaboo made it all come alive with ankles and feet and hands.
Yeah. Well, my Uncle Charles used to have some sort of, he used to call it the Papa Legba groove. There was that, and that's some voodoo-y kind of stuff.
Cool.
You know, some Caribbean stuff. You got the African rhythms, and whatever that when the Native Americans and some black slaves met up in Congo Square and whatnot, and those rhythms met as well. So all of that stuff culminating. And, you know, I mean, it's just, to me, I call it the sounds of the streets of New Orleans.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Sounds of the streets, the sounds we heard when we were coming up. And I mean, you on any given Sunday, especially, and as funny, I'm a big football fan, but I never thought I would use that in this context.
The draft's going on right now.
I know now the draft. Any given Sunday, you could walk out your door and there may be a brass band or some sort of second line or a social and pleasure club. See, and it's all of these different elements of utilizing that spirit. Because the social and pleasure clubs were like, there were clubs that a working class black gentleman would form, and what I think basically you would put dues into this every month, blah blah, and you would but when you died, they would pay for your funeral, things of that nature. So you a working class cat, it's not like you have some war chest saved up to do this stuff or leave money to your family and all this kind of stuff. But it was kind of like an organized, you know, thing, you know, and
unionized.
Unionized, cool. yeah, almost like a wise guy thing as well.
Right.
We take care of you, but no, that's. So any given Sunday, you might walk out your house and you might see a second line, a brass band playing with a crowd of people following behind.
Yeah.
And let alone at someone's funeral. I mean, that's the way you take them out, you know. And the second line,
it's such
the
an awesome
second line, if you don't really know where that term comes from, I think it was from like, okay, you have the funeral procession and you have the deceased and you have the family of the deceased right there. And the next wave of folks who are the partiers and the dancers, that's the second line.
Oh, gotcha.
Right, George?
Yeah.
Is that about correct?
That's
close to
right.
Awesome.
That's the way
the
I
second
was told
line.
it was.
The second line is the group of partiers that are, you know, we dancing behind the brass band. Wow. That's the second line. And that's where that term comes from.
It's so great. We learned so much on the Rock and Talk Show.
I like that term. I like that term for second line better.
Second line.
Yeah.
Ivan, Dumps the Funk's been busy too, recording some new music, and you guys just recorded some new stuff. You want to talk about? We got a little clip from your video as well.
Yeah. Well, you know, we've been working on that music for probably the last 3 to 4 years, quietly, and off and on. Kind of piecemeal. We do a few songs here and there when we had the time. We'd be home off the road. Let's go cut a track. Or we had a groove that we made up in a sound check that turned into a song. Let's go record that. And it was basically kind of like that. And we knew we had probably 15 or so things in the can. Some of them finished and some of them not. And when it got, we put out one song about 4 years ago, and it was called Justice, as a standalone song that was to do with the social injustices going on that we see around us all the time, and seeing, you know, watching young black men get killed by the police officers and whatnot. That inspired us to write this song called Justice. Now, when we were putting together the record, our current album that just came out, Where Do We Go From Here? During the time of the pandemic, when things were locked down and we started realizing we had a lot of time available to let's finish this thing up and let's go and do some editing and cut some stuff up and cut and paste this and fix this song up and finish this song. And we like, oh, we got a record. And then we realized, you know, we got to reboot the Justice song as well because of what's been going on and what keeps going on, unfortunately. And we We got Charlie Tuna from Jurassic 5 to put a verse on Justice, and we got a remix done. I think Andy was in Andy Kravitz or somebody
Andy
did a
Kravitz.
remix.
Yeah,
Andy Kravitz did a
yeah.
remix. So we figure we incorporate that into the record as well. And we renamed it Justice 2020. Trombone Shorty's on it. But this music was basically kind of in development over the last few years. And then the pandemic kind of forced us into finishing it. That's basically what happened. And the song, Where Do We Go From Here, which ended up being the name of the record, was pre-pandemic. And then with all of the things that's going on and the social injustices and the pandemic and everything, and you sit back and that song became not only ironic, but kind of like, okay, wow, we didn't really write that about where we are now, but it's a question that everybody wants to ask. Where do we go from here?
Right.
We're in this new
It's
And
an
you got- I
amazing
mean-
centerpiece to your to what you guys put together. It's the melody, the groove, and the lyrics is powerful.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Well, I got
You
it.
like you guys
Let's-
like
let's-
like when all through the years when I moved down from Detroit to Nashville, I never missed any time because Nikki would come out and see you guys. And I remember the last time you guys were at the Exit Inn, and I told I had a session down there, and I told the guy I had another session I had to go to. And we're backstage, and I'm sitting there with you and Nikki and stuff talking, and the dude showed up, and I lied to him and told him that I had to be another
What you doing
session.
here?
I'm sitting there next.
Yeah, I
you're
remember
here.
that.
It was me and you and Emmanuel, and Nikki. We were sitting there, and this guy looks over at me, and I got this look, and I was like going, I think I just got busted because
session canceled.
I didn't lie. I said I was going to another session. I couldn't miss. I mean, Dumpster Funk when I, because like Ivan, I don't know if you would even remember this, but back when I was like, I was 20, maybe this is very back. We were both pretty young. That you had done. It was like in the 80s. And remember Jimmy had Muddy Waters. And I know that George, you probably knew Jimmy over there too. And I played over at Jimmy's club at Muddy Waters. And he's like, I got to take you over to Tipitina's. And Ivan, you guys were doing this jam thing. And you guys were all so super cool to me. And I just was like this Detroit boy down in New Orleans back in the 80s. And it was just like, it was, So
you talking about Jimmy? You talking about Jimmy Anselmo?
Yeah, Jimmy. Because when I was, and then later on, Jimmy, when the Kid Rock thing, we signed Atlantic, Jimmy was still, he's always looked out for me back in the day through the years.
Yeah.
So he introduced me to, we played over at Muddy's. I did a gig, and I was like, I got there, and I was like, I need a place to play. And he got me a gig playing with like a blues jam, but then he took me over to see Ivan. Those the guys were playing over there, and he goes, we got to go to Tipitina's. And I went in there with them, and you guys, he knew all you guys, and I just felt like, it was just awesome. So
where do we go from here? I got it queued up. Let's share it. Let's debut it. Here we go.
Contemplating what it's gonna be, wondering which way to turn. Lots of things left to be learned.
Complicating, silly on me, things I'll hold on to. Just let it go and see what it do.
There's no guarantee in this thing called life. Sometimes we wanna see just what we think is right. It all comes down to love. Where do we go from here? Let's take it slow, no fear. What we don't know becomes clear. Baby, let's go somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little hair standing on my arms. A little hair.
I know this is like, I mean, like, have we not just heard two of the most? That's timeless genius.
So
God
JP
bless.
chimed in. JP says, George, your video will be released in 2 weeks, but the music is up on your site and available right now. And Ivan, that's available right now too, right?
Yeah, it's available now. Yeah.
Awesome, man. That is just.
Oh, so JP is tuning in too?
Oh, yeah.
I should have known that.
He's sending us messages. Even said more George NFTs to come. Watch out.
So yeah,
Watch out.
smart man.
I have one quick question though with Ivan. I was going to ask Ivan, how old were you when you were when you were working with Shaka and Rufus when you did that stuff?
That and by the way, that was Rufus without Shaka.
Yeah.
Just for the record, that was and that was in 1981, 82. That I was in my early 20s, 23, 22, 23, something like that. I did this record. It was called Seal in Red. Red. Yeah. And I went, that was like my first time like doing the hanging in LA for the like the real hang, because they were hooked up with all of the cats. That's why I met Picaro, Jeff, and all of them dudes. And I was staying with Bobby Watson. He lived out in Tarzana. Right. And I was, man, that was some fun times, dude. I went out there and you remember there was a place, if you're old enough, there was a club called Josephina's.
I was in the house, man.
They used to have a jam every Wednesday night. They had they had all of the session cats, James Jamerson Jr., Black David Williams, guitar player who played on Beat It, Billie Jean, all of a bunch of cats, Jeff Picaro, all the session cats would hang out at Josephina's on a Wednesday night, and I'm this young, 22 years old or whatnot, hanging out. I was totally in awe, believe me, man. That was some fun times, man.
That was a swinging place to play.
That was some fun time.
We used to play.
And there was a lot of drugs going through that back then. And I was like 80, early 81, 82. Oh my God. It was brutal, boy.
What was the
Where do we go from here, right?
There was a club. There was another little club on Ventura called the Flying Jib.
Flying Jib, another one.
Flying Jib was a fun little hang. It was like, and we used to play there like on the side, like, but it was just somewhere to hang. And all of I think majority of the bartenders in the Flying Jib were all drug dealers. I remember that. And everybody used to hang out there. Yeah, it was some fun times. And obviously that was exciting for me. My first like real introduction into LA. And that was like the real, like I remember being at Jeff Picaro's house. He used to live on Hesby Street.
Hesby, right over there, yep.
And I got a quick story about him, about this. So Boz Scaggs was recording one of my a song I had written, all right? And so they were recording it. Jeff and those guys used to do all of the Boz Scaggs records. Right. Jeff and Lukather and Dave Page and them cats. And so I went to Jeff's house. He had the studio in the garage. It was called the Villa. Right. And those dudes treated me like so cool, man. I was like, I was in awe, believe me, of those cats. Because them dudes was playing on all the records, all of the stuff. Because, we used to read that's what I love about having this vinyl now, George, because people can listen to the vinyl and read the album covers. So that's what we used to do coming up.
That's what's been missing for so long.
Yeah, and so being out there with all them cats, man, I felt so like I was like a part of this cool little hang, And so we were in Jeff's studio recording this stuff, and that song never came out. Boz Scaggs recorded one of my tunes, and I remember singing some backups and playing some stuff with them dudes, and they were like the cats. Some years later, I'm talking about years later, when I got sober, I got clean in 1998, and about 2 years or so into that, around 99 or 2000, a girl that I knew that was a friend had a housewarming party. She had just purchased a house. And you come to check out my housewarming party, Ivan. And so it was on Hesby Street. And so I'm at her house and people are hanging out, blah, blah, blah. And she says, hey, I got this little garage that I rent out to these kids to practice in. And I went out to this little thing in the back and I'm standing in there and I'm like, damn, I walked out of the door and I'm like, I've been here before.
Yeah.
And that was Jeff's house.
Wow.
Jeff had passed away. Jeff passed away in 92, I believe, or something like that. But Picaro, I mean, what a legendary, sweet guy, one of the sweetest cats that I had ever met. And he played on my first record, on the Ancestors record that I did for Polydor later on. But that house, that was Jeff's house. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh, wow. So it was like a chill bump moment, you know?
Jeff is
in Andy Kravitz's studio.
I grew up with him. I was in a kid band with him called Merciful Soul Band, which was Jeff and David Page. So I grew up with all those guys. I was the second trumpet player. I was the worst guy in the band because I was studying to be an architect, right? So I had a drafting gig and I was working for this company, Audiodyne, and then I was playing this stuff, and all of a sudden we're winning every battle of the bands because this was like a kid band. It was smoking, Jeff, and it was rocking. And so I remember going to the gig, and then I came home and I went, holy crap, man, I go to that gig, there's tons of girls. I go to the other place, there's no girls. I'm going to be a musician. And that's
a good call, Scott.
So what was funny about that, because I hung out with those. I mean, I did that whole scene with those guys and remember it very well. So when you were speaking about it and you're thinking about Josephina and all those days, my mind was just kind of going back. But yeah, Jeff was the guy, because for me, I was like, they took off and I was the worst guy, right? So it was like, every day I'd get up and I'd like, I got to shed. And then I'll never forget when I got called, I finally got called to play with them. And I toured with them. And that was like one of the most exciting things. And I was so scared to death to go to that first rehearsal. I remember I studied every piece of music for like 2 weeks, 10 hours a day to make sure, because I walked in. The first thing I walk into the session, I'm thinking I'm going to go play. Jeff hands me a cowbell. Right? Hands me a cowbell, and I'm like, oh no, because I've the stories of throwing sticks at guys at like the groove amp. So now I'm like, I'm really scared now, right? I didn't even have to play, just here's the cowbell. And we started playing, and afterwards he put his arm around me, and it was like a love thing, because I ate and drank, sleep with metronomes, and just love,
Jeff's old drum kit is over at Andy Kravitz's studio. You were talking about. We're with Andy and
when I went to Andy's place, because I used to have this old 57 Porsche when I was a kid in high school, and I would take the seats out and we put those drums in that car, and we go play casuals like down on the beach and stuff. Jeff and myself. In the back with all his drums on top of him, because it was a little Porsche. It didn't have much space for all the drums.
Sure. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Cause I have Zig's first two sets of drums in my studio. Both, but the missing the bass drum and a rack tom from one of the kits, but I got pretty much all of his first two sets of drums in this room here. And that's what most of those tracks, the original 6 tracks was recorded on those drum kit, on that drum kit.
Nice.
George, I got a question for you. Back in the day, Robert Palmer's first record, Sneaking South in the Alley. You guys, Lowell George, how did that come together? Like how does something like that come together?
Well, I don't know, because we were Alan's house band at the time, and Robert was sent down there to record with Alan. And then for Alan to, supposedly produce the record. But it didn't work out like that at all, because Robert came in, with a little acoustic guitar, and, and he was, kind of saying things like that. Basically, the band, the Meters, wrote all our own parts for the record, for each one of the songs. And, Alan used to have, he had, I don't want to say if it was 32 tracks, but he had in his office upstairs, he had lines directly off of the multi-track recorder downstairs in his room, so he could listen to the whole session as it was going down. And so at one point he came back down, and I believe it was the the transition between sailing shoes and Sneaker Sally. Was it Sailing Shoes and Sneaker Sally?
Yeah,
Julia? Was it Hey Julia?
Julia.
Hey Julia.
Yeah, I think it was
Julia,
it was a thing, but it was thing between Hey Julia
Sailing
and
Shoes,
Sneaker.
Hey Julia, and Sneaker Salad.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he suggested that one little line that that we should do, and that was it. He never came back. I never saw him again through the whole session. So when it all ended out, the record, Robert, we finished the record. Robert went back to Europe, and the record came out, and they forgot to put our names on it.
Old George was on that record.
Y'all got credit on the album. You got credit playing on it. I don't remember reading those credits.
That was 25 years later.
I read those credits, George.
You get the original album and look at it. There's no credits on it. We were not credited for that record.
I read that like 40 years ago.
No.
Yeah, I read those credits.
No.
On that. Hey,
we're gonna
on that, dude.
We need a copy.
The fact checks.
I read that, dude. I'm telling you, I read that.
That is such an amazing record.
I was so proud that y'all were on that. I'm like, I know them. I know that's Uncle Auntie and George and them. I read that.
And that goes along with what you were saying, Ivan. It's like a shame because nowadays people don't see the credits. Back in the day, we'd pull out an album, someone twist one up, you'd see who played on what and knew. And
you had to use the album to get rid of the seeds, right?
That's right.
Albums had many uses back then. Many uses.
But I mean, but seeing who, growing up, that's how, like people like yourself and George, other legendary musicians as well. You want to see, their repertoire and play on stuff. And nowadays people don't even know, these younger kids, their attention span too, because it's a very ADD world where they don't really even care. You ask a younger kid and go, do you even know or want to know who played on this or that track? And they're like,
they say, no, is it
kids
Alberton?
Today don't even know
was
what
it on Alberton or was it on
kids today don't even know what instruments are.
But that was the Motown way too. Like nobody knew who that band was, right? Like, but hey, George, I'd like to know, what was a young George Porter Jr. doing before the Meters, and then how did y'all come together and create that gumbo?
Well, before the Meters, I was pretty much I was a guitar player that was horrifying. A guy named Herbert Wing sent me as a sub for him because Art Neville called him up, and Herbert used to go play these gigs with Art, and as a guitar. It would be back then. Art would go out and play a gig. It'd just be him, and he would always take a guitar player with him. Usually it would be Herbert Wing, but Herbert couldn't play this gig that particular night because he was doing a frat house. So he told RT that he was going to send, to pick me up, and I'll be the guitar player for that night because, I had great ears. I knew most of the music, and it wasn't all Art's music at the time because there was, Art had a problem with all of them songs that he had recorded for the record labels because he thought that, the record labels, jilted him. So he wouldn't sing their songs anyway. He was, he would always be doing some other stuff. He would sing stuff that he enjoyed playing. So, so I knew a lot of that stuff. I knew some of the Earl King and the Professor Longhair and the Fats Domino stuff that he would do, and Jesse Hills and that kind of stuff. But we got to the gig and we playing, and Art would turn to me to take a solo. And I told him, said, no solo. I don't play solos. I'm a rhythm guitar player. I don't play solos, And so when he was taking me home, he said nothing to me, man, for about 15, 20 minutes on his way bringing me home. And just before we got to my house, he looked at me and he said, man, you're the worst guitar player. And so I assumed that I'll never ever see Art Neville again in life, So the next time I did see him at that point. I'm a bass player now, and I'm playing with a gentleman named Irvin Bannister, who was a guitar player that had his claim to fame was that he was the guitar player on Danny White's "Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye," and that guitar solo was like made Irvin Bannister famous. And he had done other work with Eddie Bohr and all those guys. So, he was like plugged into the studio stuff. I was his bass player. And I was playing on a bass that I got for $50 from a guy named Richard Dixon, and it only had 3 strings on it. The G string, they didn't have that nut on for the G string to plug into. Back then, I didn't know that you can go to Worldlines and buy that nut. I just assumed that this is what I had to work with. and that's what I did. I played that 3-string bass for probably 2.5 years.
Wow.
And Art saw me playing. But what happened? We was playing a club called the Cindy Club, and across the street from the Cindy Club, it was this kind of a key club. It didn't have a key. You just had a sliding window where all of the guys, the A guys, with the Earl Kings and the Fats Dominoes, and those guys would hang out in that little club on Charlie's. It was called Charlie's Corner. And it was on the corner of Galvez and Washington Avenue. Galvez and what? Washington and Galvez, yeah. And across the street, in the middle of the block, was the club called the Cindy Club on Galvez Street. So Fats Domino had, he would always be across the street, and he would come every now and then when he get a good roll going in his head. He don't want to go home. He would come across the street, and he usually coming across the street around 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning when it's half hour before we go home. And he would come in, and he want to come in and play. And he would never just come play one song. He would sit down and play a half hour, 45 minutes. So now we in the club for 45 minutes past our get off time, But this particular night, Fats came over and Art followed him across the street. And so Art got to hear me play bass, behind Fats Domino. And so at the end of the gig, he told me, he said, "You see, now that's the instrument you ought to be playing, And he said, "You want a gig?" And I said, "Yeah, I mean, Art Neville offered me a gig, say, well, I got to think about it." Right. Because Art Neville was, he was a part of the fabric of the New Orleans music, between him and Aaron, was like the name, they were like the names to be of knowledge. If you didn't know their names, then you're not listening to music.
Wow. I mean, well, you guys, this show, we've been talking about this show for a couple of weeks now, and we knew that an hour was just not enough. We could talk with you guys for weeks. We love you. You're both just such influences to all of us and to all the world, basically. And we thank you for joining us on the show, and we thank you for taking time out of your day to be with us. And we can't wait to see you live, because normally we'd all be together right now. This time of the year, it's days between. We'd probably be at Tipitina's tonight. And
right.
Yeah, but isn't it? Aren't they pushing it out? Aren't they going to do the thing like towards the end of the year? Right?
They're doing Jazz Fest supposedly in October.
Yeah. So
you know what? We're playing this Sunday at Tipitina's. Dumpster Funk is. Cool. We're playing to a different version. I mean, it's like
great though, man.
90 people or so, but hey.
You
got a gig.
Better than zero people, right?
It's a start.
It's better than 0 people.
And this would be your second time, right? You opened that Tipitina thing.
I did
with just a duo, right?
Yeah, me and Devin, our drummer, played a little thing, and now Dumpster's gonna play. They're selling 90 people are gonna be in each show. 90 people.
Yeah. Because running partners did I think the week after you or 2 weeks after you.
You might have to call Tony and tell Tony, say, "Tony, listen, man, it's going only 90 people. Don't be too loud for them people. Don't blast them people out." You got to tell Tony all that, man. George, you can do it. You can call them up and please just call them and tell
the good thing about The good
There's
thing
gonna be
about
90 people
COVID-
in the audience. Turned down.
The good thing about COVID is it's so much easier to have a sellout these days, right?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
No brainer. It's a no
everybody's
brainer.
selling out in the first half an hour. The tickets go on sale. It's done.
Right, right.
Oh gosh. Well, listen,
both
guys.
those.
Go ahead, Kenny.
I was just going to
then I'm
say
gonna close this out.
both the songs that we heard, tonight. I have to say, I was just blown
Smoking.
away by.
Absolutely amazing.
Freaking! I mean, that is like, yeah, amazing.
Real deal, Neil.
Both those songs
Right.
just took me to
But
groove.
Sheila's gonna close us out. But Ivan, you're gonna close us out with a little some.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so hang on. So hang on.
Hang on one sec.
We just want to say thank you to our guests for joining. And we love the comments and the questions. And thank you for joining in. This was a great show. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also please check our YouTube channel out and subscribe. Now I'm going to throw it to Kenny and then to Stephen Perkins. And then Moss will take it from there. And we'll have our little treat at the end of the show.
Okay. Well, speaking on all of us, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Randy Fuchs, Artist Relations, Lewitt Microphones, K Multimedia, TPI Films, FTE, and soon you'll be able to find us on the C-Suite Network.
Nice. Perk?
I want to thank Ivan and George. Not only was this show great to get to know you and talk about food and music and history, but like Kenny said, after watching those songs, it's royalty. You guys are royalty. Thank you for blessing us for the last how many years you've been doing it.
Yes.
We all want to be like you, giving musical, lyrical musicians. Thanks, guys, for coming.
Yes.
Right.
And then, of course, a shout out to our Rock and Talk Show team, Eric Loy, our producer director, Mark Armentano, our assistant producer and creative director, Graham Cooper, our editor. Thank you guys. You guys rock. And our next show is going to be May 13th. And our guest is the one and only David Gans, the publicist and of the Grateful Dead. So we're very excited about that. And on that note, Ivan, why don't you take us out of here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I love it. All right. Well, Ivan and George, don't leave. Don't go away yet. We're going to close the show out and we'll be right back. Hang on. There you have it. Our next show, May 13th. Thank you guys. We'll see you next time.